think my memory is that you start.
Correct. Well done, sir.
Look at that. The old memory.
Everything's coming up.
Probably because I did a turkey trot yesterday. And the exercise got my brain going.
And did you eat a vegetable?
I ate some vegetables, yeah.
Excellent. See, there you go. That's all you need.
I ate a green bean salad that was pretty good. And it had multiple vegetables in it, but I'm not entirely sure of its contents.
So not a green bean casserole.
Green bean casserole. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
My mom made a green bean casserole that had
other veggies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's pretty good. It's weird. I feel like foods where you don't know exactly what's in it are always that's a real crapshoot.
It is, yeah.
It's either going to be great or you're going to be like, what horrific concoction is this?
We should probably mention we are recording the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's the day after. Yep. Yeah, she made that. She also made some salad that she was really excited about that I had no memory of. She was like, it's so good. And I was like, I'll take your word for it.
I love a salad. Our salad was disappointing, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
That was a bummer, but.
She made a salad that had like lentils in it and squash. It was weird. I didn't eat it.
It's very
it was
autumnal.
Too much for me. Yeah. It had kind of a vinegary scent to it that I didn't care for. And I was just like, I'm going to subtly pass on salad by filling my plate with other things and then being like, I'm going back for more. Don't worry. And then I didn't.
And then being like, everything was so delicious, I couldn't possibly eat anymore.
Yeah. It also worked great because everyone else really liked it. So I was like, perfect. I don't have to like it because everyone did. So no one's paying attention to whether or not I'm eating it. So yeah, happy post-meal, everyone.
Yeah.
Hopefully you had a meal yesterday.
Hopefully everyone is comfortably digesting away on Black Friday or maybe doing a lot of shopping. Who knows?
And we'll give you books to digest.
That's right. I actually have some potentially decent options for gifting. So, yeah.
Is that like a little theme or an accidental theme?
No, it just worked out that way.
Okay. I like an accidental theme.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those where I show up and I'm like walking in here and thinking, hey, wait a minute.
I brought 4 Choose Your Own Adventures.
Did not realize.
What do you know?
Reading like a 9-year-old this month, I guess. This is National Read Like You Did as a Child month, so get excited.
It could make worse decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if my picks this month bear that out or if they don't. I was trying to think because I thought I was supposed to announce something, but I think mostly, you know what I'm going to do? I'll just use a quick announcement spot, our commercial spot. Use offer code, why did you read that?
No, that's not real, everyone. Don't do it.
Just to announce, people are often, I think, confused by when we're open and closed around holidays. So for the remainder of 2025, here's what you need to know. We'll be closed on the 24th, the 25th. We'll close at 5 p.m. on the January 31st.
No, December 31st.
December 31st. And then we'll be, why is everyone confused about it?
Yeah, come on, man.
And then we'll be closed all day January 1st.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's it.
So any other days that I didn't mention, normal hours. So we don't do other government institutions do the like, well, if it's on a weekend, we better be, we'll take the holiday on the Monday or whatever. And we don't do that.
We don't do that.
So we will all be at work. So maybe come in and make it worth our while.
That sounded vaguely threatening.
It was a little threatening. I've worked over my time here, many a holiday weekend. And boy, it could be a little punishing.
Yeah, it can get quiet. I will say, though, having also worked retail in my storied past, it's nicer to have a quiet day at work than to be run off your feet.
I wonder what industry is in the middle. You know what I mean? They're like, we're not like busy, but we're not busy.
Probably stuff that doesn't really change much, like your doctor's offices, maybe.
Yeah.
Although that may not be true because it's flu season. I don't know.
Yeah. There's got to be something that's
I was
going to
say like maybe drugstores. But I don't think that that's true either.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, is Walgreens different? I feel like Walgreens would be pretty similar just because, like, if I was, I feel like for me, a Walgreens is like a last minute holiday shopping option, not like my first thought. So maybe around this time of year, they're like normal. And then it's when it gets busier.
But they also have a pharmacy.
Yeah. You know what else they have is like, you come in from out of town and you're like, what's the thing I forgot? I forgot my contact lens juice or whatever.
And you can print out photos there.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I think we're just going to have to, agree that we just don't know.
Just going to have to quit our jobs.
Okay.
You know what's probably pretty good right now is like a gym. Because it's like they're in the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I was going to say it's pre-New Year's resolution phase.
Yeah. They're in the period, but I don't know if you could enjoy it because you know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know it's about to be
the hurricane is coming.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, man. Okay.
All right.
So that's my announcement is just closures 24th, 25th, 5 p.m. January 31st.
You did it again.
December. Take 2, 3, 4. December 24th and 25th. December 31st. January 1st. December 31st at 5 p.m. Not the whole day.
You were so close. It's good enough.
You know what? You can't count down a ball drop at the library. Okay, guys? What are you doing in there at 7 p.m.?
No one's there. I've worked New Year's Eve and no one's there.
Yeah, that's also for some reason, we're just not that popular.
Yeah. You get like the last minute, I'm going to check out a movie for us all to watch. Yep. But generally by 5, that's pretty much stopped.
Do you think we should start a tradition of on January 31st, it's you can drink booze in the library? Do you think that would...
You said January 31st again.
Well, we could start that. And I don't think there even is a January 31st.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that even exists.
So we could be like, on January 31st, you could drink booze in the library. And then it's like, yeah, because you can never drink booze in the library. Okay.
All right. So now we're going to do the podcast part.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll behave.
Okay. I have a joke for you.
Okay.
Did you hear about the new sushi bar near the courthouse that it caters to lawyers?
No.
It's called Sosumi.
Ooh, I like that.
Thank you. It's not mine. To be clear, I do not make these jokes up. I source them.
You don't sit around for the next month?
I have not the time nor the talent.
I like to imagine that you spend like the entire month crafting the perfect joke for each one of these, honing it.
Way more likely that I am frantically searching the internet as I wait for you to show up.
So the later I show up, the better. You could.
I find what I like and then I stop looking.
If you all enjoyed the joke, that means I was extra late. All right.
All right.
I'm ready to hear about your books.
I have books. The first one is The Comfort of Crows by Margaret Rankel, which is a week-by-week kind of meditation on nature in her backyard.
Okay.
The next one, are you aware of the current popularity of the dark romance subgenre?
Is this the genre that is often referred to online as elf
no.
prawn? Is that the same thing?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's similarly popular, although in this subgenre, the people in it are genuinely not good people. So this is where you find your motorcycle clubs, your mafias, your hitmen.
Okay.
So I have one.
All right.
That I read while I was on vacation called Your Knife, My Heart.
Okay.
Which is about this secret paramilitary organization that is like a bunch of assassins and
Is like a vaguely threatening title a staple of this genre? Like, I guess maybe it would hit different depending on,
It certainly could be. So to be clear, this is definitely a read at your own risk subgenre. It has all of, if there's something that could upset you, you will likely find it in this subgenre.
Okay.
Dubious consent.
Okay.
Violence.
Yeah.
Even up to non-consent sometimes.
Okay.
So yeah, this is working out your issues through fiction kind of a subgenre.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously I read it, so I am not judging anyone.
Yeah.
This is a welcoming space
all fiction.
For all readers.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I have a book, an audiobook that I am currently 1/3 of the way through. And just to give you a sense of what that means, there are 48 hours left for me to listen to.
48 hours left.
Left.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm talking about it now because if I don't talk about it now,
okay,
I will be I'm probably going to be listening to it until I die and turn to dust.
We'll put it into your casket.
Yeah. So I'm like, talk about it now.
Okay.
Also, I think it could potentially make a great gift for like your History Channel dads. So
all right.
It's called The World.
Okay.
By Simon Sebag Montefiore.
Simon Sebag?
Sebag.
Okay.
The book is 1,304 pages. The audiobook is 68 hours.
Okay.
And it is basically a history of humanity from as far back as we can figure out to today.
Okay.
I am right around Christopher Columbus.
Okay. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say there's 48 hours left and then you're like,
I don't know if it was 48, 40 something. Actually, I
third.
have it here. Let me look. I can tell you exactly how much longer I have.
Well, and you've listened to about a third already.
Yeah, I am 67% through.
Oh, okay.
No, I have 67% left. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
And I have 45 hours and 30 minutes left. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when a third of a book is like, it's about the length of a typical book.
I would say a rather long audiobook.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyway.
But to be fair, the topic is the world, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense.
And then my last book is called Dog Only Knows.
Okay.
By Allison Friend. And I actually brought it because it is an art book. It is dog portraits. So it's paintings of dogs doing human stuff, sitting in little jackets, waiting for their person to take them on a walk, little headbands.
Yep.
Eating donuts.
These are pretty cute on the cover, maybe a beagle or Jack Russell, given that kind of suspicious dog
vest.
side eye that they give sometimes.
And there's not much reading to it. Oh, Boston. I'm a Boston aunt, Boston Terrier auntie.
Yeah. Yep.
So I love a Boston. And there's one of a Boston eating gummy bears. So, there's not much to discuss as far as like, we could talk about like more of what's in here, but I wanted to bring it because I think this could be another one that could be a fun holiday present.
A good gift.
For your dog moms, your dog dads.
And these are painted portraits.
Painted portraits, whimsical.
They are fun so far.
Yeah.
Just what little I've seen. Okay.
So those are my 4.
Ooh. There's like a lot to cover here.
Very different options, I would say.
I think what I'm going to do, and this is a little bit of like spoiler alert, but like I feel like the answer here is to go macro to micro.
Interesting.
So we go the world,
okay,
macro, and then we'll go to Margaret Rankel's backyard in the micro.
All right.
So let's hear about The World by Simon Sebag. What a weird, odd name.
It's possible that it's not pronounced that way. It's been literally forever since I heard it pronounced when they announced it at the beginning.
It's been many hours since I heard how it's said. That's fair. That's very fair.
I could be mispronouncing it very easily.
Well, let's put that on me. I'm the one saying
no, it's fine.
It's spelled like Sebag,
it
so
is.
I'm calling him Simon Sebag.
Well, that's why I pronounced it
which
that way.
Hopefully he didn't get made fun of for in school, but
well, he sounded very British in the introduction, so
Okay.
I feel like there are all kinds of wacky surnames going on over there.
That's true.
So it's
Maybe
probably
a
fine.
name that, we would find typical
Yeah.
here. They'd be like, what? And they're like, yeah, of course, that's my buddy, John Seabag. All right.
Sure.
It just sounds like a creature that lives in the deep sea, some kind of sea slug or something.
I like a
your
sea slug.
classic sea bag.
Also known as a nudibranch. Very beautiful.
There you go. Simon Nudibranch.
There you go. We're just going to call him that from now on. All right. So the world. As I said, I'm listening to it on audio, and I would caution people to taking this route because it feels a little bit like standing in front of a fire hose and just having it blasted at your face.
Okay.
Like at full speed.
Okay.
It is an awful lot of information just kind of like thrown at you in rapid succession. Because if you think about it, when you're talking about the entirety of human history,
sure,
from like first evidence of a family unit, because they have fossilized footprints of like adults and children walking together.
Okay.
Starting like that far back, all the way to like, we're talking Barack Obama. I don't remember what year this was published, but it goes up to like, I think he was writing it during the COVID lockdown.
Okay.
So he got up to around there.
Okay.
Obviously, I haven't finished yet. So.
Shoot. What an interesting little
I think
addendum.
Frankly, he should just be happy that it's done.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he was rooting for just complete viral apocalypse.
Well,
he's like,
I think
this
that's
would be a good time.
If I recall correctly in his introduction, that's one of the ways he got it like finished was that all of a sudden
he had some time.
Yeah, he had room for a project.
All the time in the world.
Yeah.
There was all the time, like that Twilight Zone. But he didn't have a misfortune.
So the audiobook does feel a little bit like, lots of names and dates are constantly rushing at you, and it can feel overwhelming.
Okay.
There's a lot that I've heard that's super interesting, but it doesn't stick in my brain as well as I feel like it might if I were reading it. But if you're okay with just like being like, wow, how interesting, and it being kind of ephemeral and it drifting off, the audiobook is packed with lots of stuff. And I remember enough for me to be like, I need to remember to look up this woman who was she was an empress, and she's the patron saint of Kiev. And she sounded super interesting. So I need to look her up. I want to learn more about Marco Polo after having learned about him.
I don't know. My brain is so dumb that as you started saying like she was an empress of whatever, and I was like searching my memory for who that would be. And then it was like, you don't know who that is. Like,
yeah, I don't even remember. I want to say it was like Helena or something like that, but I could be wrong.
Sure.
But she sounded real cool. The nice thing about this particular book is that when you get a lot of these world histories, they tend to focus a lot on like, Italy, Greece. You get a lot of like Eurocentric, and then, we went to Canada and discovered the New World, or then they went and they landed in Mexico. This makes a concerted effort to, cover the entire world. So while you are learning about things that were happening in Constantinople, you will also be hearing about things that were happening in China or in Africa or in Mexico, because we have a lot of written history around the world. And just the fact of the matter is we don't know a lot of it because there's so much of it, and we've been taught a lot of the European stuff.
Sure.
So he makes a point sometimes to maybe put a little extra effort on specifically like women's stories, because a lot of that isn't documented, or stories that came from elsewhere in the world because it's unfamiliar. And that's precisely why I was interested in reading it, because I was like, I'm interested in hearing more about like, Henry VIII. That's interesting. And but also I've heard a lot about it already, and I know where I can find it. So hearing more about like this, about the way that I don't know if you know this, but Genghis Khan is apparently, chances that we both have Genghis Khan in our genetic line are pretty high.
Yeah.
He got around. and like traveled all around Europe and Asia. So if you have any European or Asian ancestry, the chances that we are related to each other through Genghis Khan are high.
Yeah. Genghis Khan is a pretty wild character in human history.
Yeah.
That it's just like,
even
wow.
more than I realized having now listened to this book. So, hearing about some of that stuff and stuff that even I had no idea about, like, women who ruled China long before, the idea of a woman being a ruler was accepted or common. So it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of like weird, interesting stories. There's I read this historical fiction book about a ruler in the Middle East. His name was Baldwin, and I can't remember, but
Alec.
No. His first name was Baldwin, and he was a leper, but a really great and even-handed ruler. Jerusalem, I think.
Okay.
Super interesting, and it touched on him, and I was excited because since I'd read this other book about him, I kind of knew a little bit. But you get some glimpses into some of these lesser-known stories, and especially areas that we might be less familiar with, like, the early history of the Inca and how it might differ from what was written by the people who became, colonizers.
Sure.
Maybe it wasn't quite the way it turned out in the end, or maybe, it didn't start there. So
the way they perceived it wasn't quite exactly correct.
Yeah. Or, we have evidence that, like, yes, they did human sacrifice, but it started out being like a lot less common. Like it was like a once a year, like, I don't know. Anyway, it's an interesting glimpse into the history of humanity that we're less familiar with. So, great option for your armchair historians if you're looking for a gift for someone who doesn't mind a doorstopper of a book or who would be excited by that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It kind of sounds too like one of those books, every so often, like you read a book and you're like, regardless of how I feel about this book, it spun me off into a bunch of like, well, there's probably someone wrote a book about XYZ.
Exactly.
And then I never would have looked for it, except now I'm on the hunt for it.
Well, and judging by the audiobook, it is broken up into smaller digestible chunks. So it'll be like, here's this story of this, family unit that ruled this area. And it involves like how this person came to power and then how they lost power. Or here's an anecdote about, this war.
Yeah.
And then it'll move to another place and you might go back to the first person, but it kind of jumps around. And so you just get these like historical moments in time.
Gotcha.
And the one thing that I've come to realize is that the common theme across the world is rich people will do an awful lot of murder, rape, and pillage and theft to gain power. And then they will do terrible things while they have it. And then the people who don't have power get tired of it and start doing horrible things to take that power away to then do terrible things with the power. And,
peaceful transition of power seems to be not a...
It's rare. It happens.
Yeah.
There are some notable examples where it's like that person seemed pretty great.
Yeah.
But it is definitely rare. It seems like it's an awful lot of powerful people being powerful, stepping on a lot of the non-powerful, and then getting taken out.
I guess, it sounds interesting too, because I always am curious about, like, I don't know, I think about like American history and like, we all know a little bit about like Teddy Roosevelt. He's kind of like a character.
Yeah.
And like, I always think like, well, Sweden must have like a guy like that, right?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, Spain must have like some lady who was kind of an eccentric, but in a not horrible way. You know what I mean?
It's 100% true. Did you know that Bluetooth is named after a Norwegian ruler who was known for being a great communicator?
I did know that, but because you told me at some point.
That figures.
So kind of you get credit, for...
Yeah, Harold Bluetooth.
You should take the credit for, I should have just said, I did not know that.
No, it's fine.
But...
You don't want to lie.
I only knew because you told me that. And I think I've told like 10 other people, be like, did you know?
It's interesting, right?
So hopefully that's true.
It is true.
If that's something
and he was
you
called
made up.
Bluetooth because it was in fashion to color your teeth with pigment.
Oh, yeah.
Which I learned from this book and not the original book that I read where I learned about Harold Bluetooth.
It's all coming together.
I know.
All the pieces. You're going to start to see the Matrix.
Oh, the knowledge you'll go.
Yes. All right.
All right, your turn.
I have 4 books.
Excellent. That's what you were supposed to bring.
I actually have 5, but I'm not going to talk about one because I didn't like it.
Okay.
So I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
I was thinking about talking about it earlier because I didn't like it, but I think other people would.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. You're on your own.
Wow.
I'll mention it briefly at the end.
Okay.
One is a book called How to ADHD by Jessica McCabe.
Okay.
Jessica. I had typed Jessican McCabe because she can do it.
That's okay because I was writing How to HDHD. So there we go. We're both winning.
All over the place. It's basically a book by, she's not like a doctor or a scientist or anything, but a person who has ADHD and kind of talks about what that's like and then strategies to deal with it.
All right.
Next, I've got a comic called A Silent Voice by Yoshitoki Oima.
All right.
And it's kind of a sweet story. I wouldn't call it a romance, maybe more of a love story, but with many other elements involved.
Okay.
That I sort of tricked myself into reading and then was glad I did. So I was like, good job.
Well done, other me.
Exactly. Next, I've got a book called Joke Farming by Elliot Kalin.
Do I need to read this so I'll have better jokes?
I think anyone would benefit from reading it.
All right.
But I don't think that this is not a commentary on your,
okay.
I didn't bring this book because I was like, joke farming, Meagan. About
stare,
joke
pointed
writing.
Stare.
I think it fits more for me in like, a general how to write kind of context.
Okay.
But it's got a specific focus.
All right.
Of jokes and comedy. And then the last is Fortune and Glory, the Musical by Brian Michael Bendis, which is his portion of the story of the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark saga.
Yep. Which you are like always hunting down. It's your great white whale.
Absorbing a little bit more. Yeah. Learn a little piece here and a little piece there. And sometimes it's interesting and sometimes it's, interesting, but also like, that's kind of what I thought happened.
Yeah, kind of telling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I am curious about, let's start with A Silent Voice.
Okay. So the first thing is, I actually have it in my bag, but it's collected in 2 very big volumes.
Okay.
Which I like because it's, I don't know, 8.5 by 11-ish size. So it's a little bigger than normal manga digest size, as we call it, or
omnibus,
Kobankan or something.
Wow.
That's probably not the correct word, but something like that.
Hey, say it with confidence. You sounded great.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I could do anything with confidence, really. I think my best is I heard a word that sounded kind of like this and just hope no one else knows. And you can read the entire story in 2 volumes.
Okay.
Which is very appealing to me. I like to jump on a manga series when it's finished because it's hard if you read a series in the normal size digest volumes, they come out maybe a couple times a year.
Mm.
And so you get a very small portion of the story every 6 months, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for me to remember what was happening because what I'll do is read one, then I read 15 other different comics and then come back to that. And I'm like, what's going on with this?
Yeah. I have the new Lore Olympus at home and I'm sitting there like, do I remember how the last one ended?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, I think American comics are, I think, published in a different way where there's more of an arc And usually then they're collected and it's like 1 or 2 trade paperbacks consists of the entire arc.
Right.
Then a new creative team takes over and it's kind of like reading, and you could finish an arc and then start the new arc 2 years later and you don't really have to remember much. Whereas Japanese comics they build on each other more and they don't do a lot of backfill of like, hey, remember this is what happened.
Yep.
And my guess is that's partially because they usually are published in like a weekly magazine format. So waiting 1 week for a new chapter is not it's like TV or something.
Right.
Anyway, the story starts off with these kids. They're young. They're in like elementary school. And a new girl comes to a class and she can't hear. And she can sometimes kind of hear when she wears like hearing aids, but not really. And so, and like, I don't know exactly how this all works in Japanese culture, but it's pretty universal in that she comes to a class and the class is at first is, like whatever, but they're little kids and they start being annoyed because it makes their lives more inconvenient because they're trying to do things like, for example, they're trying to win this like singing competition, this choir competition, and she can't sing because she can't hear. And so she's, can't sing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, she's going to ruin it, and the choir teacher is like, just let her sing. It's fine, or whatever. And they're trying to tell her like, just move your mouth, but don't sing, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of kids being jerks because kids are all id and they don't.
Right. Not being jerks, but being insensitive because they haven't learned empathy yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not developed enough yet to be like, as annoying as this is for me to have to make these different accommodations, much more difficult to be that person.
Right.
So, this is a pretty small ask.
She's trying to navigate a world that was not built with her in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so things get kind of tense. And then there's one kid in the class who's kind of like a, let's call him a Bart Simpson type, a little bit of a troublemaker, a little bit of a screw up. And he starts bullying her kind of, and it gets pretty bad. Like he breaks her hearing aids and stuff like that.
Aww.
And it's pretty bad. But then she leaves the class eventually and goes to another school or something. And then, but then kind of what ends up happening is he finds that his friends and the people he got along with in class kind of drift from him and actually are not, they're like, that wasn't cool, and they start kind of maturing and feeling like the things that he's doing, they don't want to be a part of. And he kind of finds himself quickly, it's flipped, and now he's at the very bottom of the social hierarchy and people are picking on him. And, stuff like that. And so, and this is all, they're all still very young at this point. And so they kind of enter middle school-ish and he's, got no friends and has kind of a terrible life or whatever. So, and that's kind of where the story really begins because he decides at some point that he wants to find this girl and like apologize to her and, stuff like that. And he's like, I think that's what I need to do at this juncture. And so he does. And like, it's weird and like tense and she's not immediately like, it's fine,
Right.
She's also a very nice person and is kind of more accepting of an apology than she should be. And then he's kind of confused by that. But then also like, her family is not, they're like, screw you, like whatever, justifiably. Anyway, the story is basically about he made this terrible life for himself and for other people and lost all his friends and, lost all these connections and then tries to rebuild and tries to kind of be like, maybe I should, not be a jerk and maybe I should try and make this work and maybe I can make it, and it's kind of like a redemption story.
Okay.
And I think it's good. It feels realistic in that it's not an immediate, like, everything's fine,
Right.
like all is forgotten, but it's also not unrealistic in
Right.
the opposite way.
Right.
And like some people are more forgiving of him than others. And like some of the friends he tries to reconnect with are still kind of like difficult people in a different way, And it just felt like a very real feeling relationship drama to me.
Okay.
And it was very appealing.
All right.
And it's like a one contained story, so you can read the whole thing. The other big reason I wanted to bring it is because in reading reviews of the book after I finished it, because I was like, I've never heard of this. Like, I wonder, apparently it was a fairly big movie was made out of it, animated. And every single review of the book seems to mention like, there is so much stuff in the book that's not in the movie, and I was like, yeah, look, I mean, this is a pretty thick couple of books.
It's a lot of pages.
And like, it's, your classic, the book was better than the movie. But I think, especially with manga or comics series, it's like, guys, if you read something and this takes, I don't know, 5 hours to read, a 90-minute movie is not going to encompass as much stuff. And they're probably going to excise things like characters or story arcs to make it fit the time. And like, I think a classic example for me was like Stephen King's It. And like, even at 2 very long movies, they have to cut out so much stuff. And like the reading experience is much richer. And there are times where I think a movie is a good version of the story from the book, or like even very close and very equivalent.
Yeah. The 1995 Pride and Prejudice miniseries does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Or the Lord of the Rings extended versions.
Yeah.
But there's still stuff missing.
Yeah. Right. And like, if you really liked something, and then you go read the book, you're probably going to like that as well, because it's going to be more. Especially
if you watch it after having let some distance, between the two. So you're not immediately thinking like, I don't know, that part was gone,
Yeah, and I think it's pretty rare to like, if you loved a movie and then go read the book, to be like, well, that was crap.
Right.
And like, the only version of that I could kind of see is like, I like Philip K. Dick's writing, and like his story, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, is made into Blade Runner. But if you liked Blade Runner a lot, that I don't think that's going to mean you're going to like it.
Yeah.
Because it's really different.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the book is really different.
The book is very, very different in tone and in nature.
Yeah.
So it's very good. But I want to be like, this is my PSA for all the Wicked lovers, because the musical is wonderful and it's gaining a lot of fans, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm not going to discourage people from reading the book.
Sure.
But I want them to know what they're getting into, which is that it is not the same.
Yeah.
The story is different. The events in the story are different.
Yeah.
The relationships are different. It is a different experience. So just be ready for that and decide if that's what you want. If you don't want that, then just stick with the musical.
Yeah. I could see that, because I read Wicked back in the day, like in college.
When it was released.
When it came out, and it made a big splash and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it didn't strike me as like, this should be a musical.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't in my brain at all.
It's entirely different. It's dark and political, and Elphaba is not that likable.
Yeah.
And Fiyero is already married to somebody who is not Galinda.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
It is super different.
Yeah.
It's one of those where they could almost they have the book, then the musical, and they could do a novelization of the musical.
Yeah.
And it would be different from the original source book.
It would be. It would be.
Anyway, that's A Silent Voice. I recommend it. It's fun. It's
How did you trick yourself?
I think because I just saw that this was the whole thing. And I was like, I don't know if I'm that interested in it, but I was like, but I am interested in reading something that I have the entire thing available to me, and I don't have to wait for
the next 7 volumes.
Yeah, I also have I talked about it on this before, Vinland Saga, and this is book 14, and book 15 is like out in Japan, but this just came out in the United States, book 14. It'll probably be like a year before book 15 is on the shelf.
Sending myself an email right now to check.
And I probably will not remember anything that happened. I read like books 1 through 13, like all right in a row, and it was a really nice, powerful experience. And then book 14, I was like, it was good. Not the same.
This is 15?
This is 14.
Okay. I sent myself a note to check. So I'm sure I get it. I'm sure nobody cares to hear this, but it's so difficult to keep up with all these volumes of all these series.
Yeah.
So I make myself little notes and lists all over the place.
Well, and they come out at like wildly different intervals, and sometimes the series just stops, you know, or sometimes it's like on hiatus for a long time, or you know.
Sometimes I miss it and then I keep missing it, and I get a note from someone that's like, hey, there are 4 volumes in this series that are out and we don't have. And I'm like,
yeah,
dang it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how all that happens exactly, but
it's rough. They don't get reviewed, so anyway, nobody cares.
Interesting.
These are the trials of my very awesome job that so everyone's like, cry me a river.
They don't get reviewed in professional publications. Oh my God.
Poor you.
What a disaster.
You get to pick out books all day.
What a
Boo-hoo.
travesty. Miscarriage of justice.
Let's put up a statue.
All right. So yeah, I was tricked into it just because I wanted to be able to read the entire thing. And I was. So I was like, all right, I'll do it.
I like it. Sometimes it goes to show you, sometimes you try something just because and it ends up being great.
Yeah. Ends up being the right choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm ready to hear about The Comfort of Crows by Margaret Rankle.
All right. And its subtitle is A Backyard Year. And it's organized. Each chapter is basically a week, and it starts at the beginning of the year, so in the middle of winter. And she basically just describes kind of what nature is like. And this is like a North American winter. I'm pretty sure she's somewhere in like New England or the Midwest. So, you know, your traditional like snowy winter, very cold. And she just kind of reflects on her garden and the animals living in her area and what they're doing and, you know, what she's doing and, you know, that she puts out like bird feed for some of the birds that are still around. And she's conflicted about it because, you know, anyway.
Yeah. Am I messing with nature?
Yeah.
Am I helping nature? Is that just like so far out of the bag at this point? Because he
and
was eating fries in the road yesterday?
A prey bird or a predator bird will find out that there's bird seed and then will just start hanging around so that it can attack the animals who come to. So she has to take down the bird feeder.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. And, you know, she'll talk about like the fox that was living in her area that she's pretty sure had mange and how she's trying to, you know, catch it in a trap so that it can get treated and not spread the mange, or how easy it can be to feel like down in the cold in the winter, and how she breaks the habit by thinking of different aspects of what winter can be. And then, you know, the next week it will be like, you know, deeper into winter if it's January, or, you know, starting to move into spring as you move into like March, and how you can recognize the coming of spring and her routines and what it means for her family, and the ways that the animals change, the ways that the plants change, the ways that just the way her back garden looks changes. So I think it would be a nice book to own. I actually do own a copy. Rather, you can get it from the library 100%, and you can just sit and read the whole thing back cover to cover. And I think it would be a lovely kind of, you know, meditative, relaxing read. But I think there's also something to be said about buying a copy and reading it, you know, starting in the new year, reading week 1 and thinking about winter, and then the next Sunday or the next Saturday, reading the next week and thinking of, and like marking the change of the seasons with the book, And there are these really nice illustrations, little paintings of, wintry scenes or the kinds of birds that she's seeing or, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So it would make a really nice gift because it's a beautiful book.
Right.
And it also it could be a nice, easy way to sit and you could read like 5 to 10 pages for the week and then come back to it next week. And it's a way of kind of
that's interesting.
Being more mindful of nature as you just move through your life without having to do anything super taxing or special.
Right.
Just, she kind of guides you through thinking about the change of season, nature. It's a nice book. I like it a lot.
That's interesting. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. I'm seeing how this fits into the gift book scheme of like, oh, it's like a year-long gift kind of
like
thing.
a devotional, but you don't have to read it every day, and it's not meant to like convince you to like try anything new or change your way of thinking or do anything self-helpy. Right. It's just, a way to sit and appreciate the world around us and think about it more. And maybe that will result in us deciding, I want to take more walks in the winter, or I want to appreciate the fall season more or whatever it is,
It reminds me of, feels like there's like every so often a book like this comes around, like the wild snail eating.
Yeah, that was I like that book. The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating.
Yeah. I don't know what to call these, like cozy core.
Yeah.
I don't know. In touch with nature, but not in too cosmic ways.
Micros, like very narrow focused micro histories almost.
Yeah.
Or microbiographies, because like the wild snail eating is about her recovering from an illness.
Yeah.
And the wild snail that's in her plant.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a memoir kind of, but not exactly.
It's like, it's months just in her bedroom with this snail.
Yeah.
Or just a year of this woman living her life and appreciating her backyard.
Yeah. I also like it too because like there's like a sort of parallel version of this, where it's like the Happiness Project or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, but those always, I'm like, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like
the year of yes.
Yeah.
I said yes to everything.
The year of shut up. Yeah, and it's like
this isn't asking anything of you. It's just a way. It's just a way to appreciate nature, or maybe you're like, I still hate the cold, but maybe you had a moment where you're like, but those cardinals against the snow really are pretty.
Yeah. I always bristled about the year of yes because I was like, well, I feel like, cynically, I'm like, well, yeah, that's easy to have a year of yes if the kinds of things people are asking you to do are not things that you necessarily need to say no to. You know what I mean?
Or if you're Shonda Rhimes and you have
that's what I mean.
The money and the influence to like try stuff.
What if we made a show about this, and it's like, sure, and I'm like, I don't know, man. If I did the year of yes, it'd be miserable because people would be asking me to do stuff and I'd be like, sure.
Yeah, I feel like you have to cut it off at work. You have to be like, I'm not going to say yes to everything at work.
Yeah. Because unless your job is being Shonda Rhimes, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, if you work at a library and someone's like, can I sleep in the public bathroom?
Yeah.
You kind of have to say no.
You have to be like, I'm afraid not. Yeah, I wonder. I guess I like to imagine. I don't really know much about Shonda Rhimes. Like maybe she's great and like whatever.
Bridgerton's great. I know that.
I just like to imagine that people are like around her were like, that was a horrible year. She was unbearable all year. She's like, oh, it's the year of yes. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay.
I can say that the Gilmore Girls went straight downhill after she left that show.
Oh, did she work on that show?
Mm-hmm.
I'm only really familiar with the show and then A Year in the Life, which I hated.
You didn't watch Bridgerton?
No.
You should watch Bridgerton.
My wife's watched it. That's not for me.
Sexiest Man Alive.
Yeah.
Season 2.
That's not for me.
You never know unless you try it. We just discussed this.
I'm pretty sure. Sexiest Man Alive. That's fine. Should that be on a TV show? Yeah, 100%. If I was trying to produce a TV show and they're like, we could have the sexiest man alive on this show, I'd be like,
book him.
Yeah. And then I would be like, I don't even care what the show is. Like, is he hosting Jeopardy? Fine. Can we get him to do it in just a bow tie? Great. But like, yeah.
Anyway.
It's not for me.
Sorry, I drove us right off a cliff. That was not my intention.
Gilmore Girls is barely for me. Like, it's very on the cusp.
I really liked it until I really disliked it.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was going to take that turn. And so I still feel betrayed by that show. So I don't like to talk about it.
I felt it was fine. There were some things. It didn't make, okay, this is for the bunheads out there. This, Luke having a secret daughter that he didn't know about, and that wasn't his fault, and then finding out he has a secret daughter, and then not telling Lorelai about it, makes no sense.
This is where, I think this is after Shonda Rhimes left the show.
It makes no sense, because I'm like, of all the people who would understand raising a teenage daughter and the difficulty of that.
All right. We need to take 10 minutes and turn this into the Gilmore Girls podcast. Because
a Gilmore Girls recap.
For anybody who doesn't care, like, we're just going to take a couple minutes just to say some things. So just bear with us. Yeah, fast forward. It's fine. That show, I feel like it spent however many seasons that she was on, like, with a crafted story arc where they're like, we're sending our characters in this general direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shonda Rhimes left and new people came on and they were like, we need to put our stamp on this show. And they systematically undid every decision she made, and all of the characters ended up right where they started.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the biggest tragedy of storytelling that I can imagine.
It just didn't. Yeah, it's like it felt like at some point they were doing things that were out of character. When Rory starts being a little butthole, I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's hard to write stories about, a Lisa Simpson character, but come on, that's who it is. But then when I saw A Year in the Life, and like, I resisted watching it because I first resisted watching Gilmore Girls. I was like, I don't think this is for me. And then I was like, this is a little for me. But my wife was like, it's the worst. You have to watch it. And
she knows how to get your attention.
And I was like, I don't want to. But it was the worst in a way that I can't appreciate, because it was like when they devoted an entire episode to her stupid college finance bro boyfriend's little, like, we're the adventure party and we put on masks and we'll run around the city at night, and I was like, no one wants that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what happened to, the boy whose dad owns a car dealership. No one cares. No one cares. I was like, of all the characters, I'm like, give me an hour and a half of what Taylor Dosey is doing. I'll take it. You know what I mean? I do not want to see these characters. I didn't like seeing them on screen. I think that was by design. But then you're going to give me, it's like, let's catch up with those boys. Let's not. Let's not. And then it's like, let's do a whole episode that's like a play within the show that's kind of like in order to spin off into a new show. And I'm like, why?
I don't even show
it. Yeah, I don't either.
No, A Year in the Life. I don't.
Oh, that was when they, like, Gilmore Girls ended, but then they did, like, they came back and they were like,
okay. So funny story about that. I have such a grudge against the Gilmore Girls after the way that it ended, that friends of mine who liked it and who were like, oh no, we have to watch it. We have to watch it. And so I was like, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. I will be in this room and I will be reading, and I am not going to watch it. And I was present while it was on the television. Yeah. And that is all that I know.
It had like things. It had some characters end in a place that I was like, okay, that works, and other things. But like, it mostly felt like wasted opportunity. And I was like, why would you bother?
Unshocked.
Yeah.
I am the opposite of shocked. Anyway, I'm still so mad about that show, just in general, because I feel like it started out with promise and it squandered it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
did.
Are we done?
Yes.
I think we
only
can be
one
done.
other thing
Okay.
is I always consider the show Supernatural a Gilmore Girls spinoff. Because she dated the guy
The tall
who was
guy.
Dean
Yeah.
in Gilmore Girls, who was Sam in Supernatural, but his brother is named Dean. And the ages match up. And I'm like, oh, okay.
After he got his heart broken,
Yeah.
he went off to fight the supernatural.
Yeah. I can put this all together in my mind, which I'm sure many people online have done in a much better and more thorough way than me. But yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. He fell off a swing set and lost his memory and then was adopted by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And now he's a ghost hunter.
You know, a tale as old as time.
And something about the name Dean was appealing to him. Okay.
All right. I'm torn between Fortune and Glory and How to ADHD, but I think I'm going to do How to ADHD.
Okay. So yeah, this is a book. The construction of the book's kind of interesting because basically the writer, Jessica, had ADHD. And I'm not going to use any of the correct terms because I don't know them.
Okay.
And just say she had ADHD real bad. Like a lot. She was having a lot of life effects because of her ADHD. And it was
excellently phrased.
Difficult for her to manage.
Okay.
Partially because she didn't know she had ADHD or she knew she had ADHD or something, but not. I guess information and research on ADHD is kind of still ongoing, especially for adults.
Yeah.
It's very different.
I grew up with a generation that still a lot of us, growing up, were like told that's not real.
Yeah.
That they just eat too much sugar or whatever.
Yes.
So I firmly believe that is true.
Yeah. One of the big points in the early part of the book is that ADHD is a neurological thing.
Right.
It's not a behavioral thing.
Right.
The behaviors are like the manifestation of the neurological.
Right.
And like another big thing in there is like she would often think she didn't have it, or other people are often misdiagnosed because they do have the ability to have very focused attention on things. And she's saying like, actually, that's a hallmark of it, which is like, if you're interested in something, you can get very absorbed in it and like lose time and stuff. But when things aren't interesting to you, it's extremely difficult. Anyway, the book was kind of put together because once she found out she had ADHD and was like realizing she would have like a job where she would go and be doing something a certain way. And someone would come up to her and be like, why are you, that's like the most difficult way to organize this information. What are you doing? And be like, that's crazy. Like you need to, here's a much better way to do it. She'd be like, oh yeah, that does make a lot more sense. And she's like, I was just struggling with things like that. Or she tells an example of when she was in college and she took a stats class that she wasn't registered for because she couldn't get in. And the stats teacher was like, well, just come to the class and then register for it next semester. And I'll just transfer your grade to the next semester and then whatever. And she was like, great. And so she went to the stats class. She did great in the class, finished the class, forgot to register for it the next semester. And like 2 years later was like, oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to do that. And then went back to the professor and he's like, it's too long. Like, I can't do it. Anyway, so she was having life effects and like problems and basically decided to, and she started doing a lot of looking into like strategies and concrete things. It's not as much like a sciencey book at all. It's more of like here are some things that I've done that help me, and they might or might not help you, but you kind of got to pick and choose. And she wrote the book specifically because she was like, I needed a way to consolidate all the things I've tried so that when I get stuck, I can remember other techniques I've used in the past.
Right.
And she's like, and I needed a way that I could push Control F and find it in a document. And she's like, that's basically why I wrote this book. I think it's very interesting. I mean, it's like one of those books too, where it's like, I think probably 90% of people who read it will be like, oh my God, I definitely have ADHD then.
Mm-hmm.
And, some people do and some people don't. I don't know. But I also think I wanted to recommend it as well because I think it would be a really good book for somebody who has people in their life who have ADHD, especially adults. It's much more adult focused than kid focused. I would say if you're like a parent of someone with ADHD who's not in their later teens or early 20s yet, this probably is not a resource for you. But if you're married to someone who has ADHD, I think this would be a really good book to help you understand what's going on
Okay.
and maybe ease some of the frustrations of why can't they just do X? You know what I mean? Or how many times have we gone over why? They
Yeah.
just can't do it, or frustrations of every time I set them to this simple task, they just can't get it done or, stuff like that. I also like it. It's very non-judgmental in terms of it touches on things like medication, uh, cognitive behavioral therapy, different I don't know if solutions is the right word, but
Therapies.
tools,
Yeah.
yeah. And kind of saying for some this works, for some this works, and a lot of people find a good success with a combined approach.
Mm-hmm.
It also does advocate a little bit for something I think is good, which is getting a diagnosis, because then you do have some protections like in the workplace
Mm-hmm.
and other things, but also because uh, it can help people understand that certain things are more difficult for you than they are for other people.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. I found it very interesting. I very much identified with the idea of so apparently most people who have ADHD, it's not that they can't pay attention. It's that um, what causes, stimulation in your brain that causes you to pay attention, they have a much higher threshold.
Mm-hmm.
So something has to be really interesting to them
Right.
in order to sort of capture their attention and focus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that is why, for example, someone with ADHD they could spend 8 hours playing a video game
Right.
because they find that very stimulating.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's time to do, to clean the house or something, and
Right.
they're just they can't even begin
Yeah.
because it's just I'm so bored, immediately bored
Yeah.
and immediately uninterested in it and whatever. Um, Overall, I thought it was really interesting, and I
Mm-hmm.
do like the approach of here's a bunch of things that you could try, and here
Right.
are tools. And yeah, like I said, I think it would be awesome for if you have someone in your life, an adult who has ADHD, and you just there are certain things that they do that you just
Yeah.
why do you do this to me? You know,
Do you think it would be useful even if they maybe don't have ADHD or don't have a diagnosis, but they have some of those behaviors?
for sure.
And even if they don't have the diagnosis, maybe the strategy could help?
Yeah, I think so. I think they could even there are things in here that could be helpful even if you don't have ADHD or don't have a diagnosis, but you find it really hard do to motivate you to do certain things,
Okay.
and they're ways to get started on things or
Mm-hmm.
ways to motivate yourself to do certain kind of boring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you're someone who I don't know, you dread cleaning the house or whatever, because that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
um, Kind of ways to get you started doing it and maybe make it a little easier. And it's not going to magically fix it, but
Right.
then there's other stuff like certain things that it's sometimes you just got to farm it out. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Right.
it's you just maybe you got to hire a maid, and that's the way that you do it or things. It's got a wide variety of ideas and
Okay.
things. So I think it was interesting.
Cool.
It was kind of a surprise read, I guess. The one thing I will say, and I guess this is like a little bit, I don't know if this is ironic or telling of maybe why I picked up this book, but like, the one advice I would give if you're finding yourself uninterested is this sort of opening section of the book is a little memoir-y and a little bit explaining the author, how she came to write the book and stuff, and her individual struggles with it. And for me, that was I think it was a mistake to put that at the beginning because I think I wanted to get to the thing that I picked the book up for. I have the same complaint about like business books.
I was going to say recipe blogs.
Recipe blog. Yeah, it's a little bit like that where you're just like, I came here for the recipe, not for the story of your grandma giving Elvis this lemonade one time. Like, I don't give a crap about that, And I'm like, I'm sorry. I feel like a jerk because I'm like, sometimes it's like this heartfelt story of whatever. Although, to be fair to me, it's like a heartfelt story with sidebar ads on both sides, an ad on the top, a pop-up in the middle for a newsletter, a Subaru ad going in and I'm like, I mean, you kind of kill the vibe of, I'm sitting with you at a table and we're talking about old tales.
Although that happens in some cookbooks too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, here's how I learned, to make my Nana's layer cake.
Yep. Yeah, and I find it more tolerable in a cookbook because you can just skip it so easily. And when they make a cookbook, it's like they know. They know it's like, well, okay, when we're going to have the recipe, it's going to be like simple to read in one page and not embedded in this thing.
But I still skip it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think there's one cookbook writer who I've actually read the book because I found him first as a writer. His name's Jeremy Jackson. And I thought he was a really good writer, and that's actually what brought me to his cookbook because I was interested in it. But he keeps it pretty brief too.
Okay.
It's not so indulgent. Anyway, so that would be my advice if you're starting out with this book and you're like really looking for tools and things like that.
Yeah.
And you're not so interested in empathizing with this individual.
Okay.
Which is fine. Just skip a little bit ahead and then if you're intrigued, you can go back to the other part.
Yeah.
But I would have considered structuring the book a little differently. I probably would have put something more concrete up front, then gone into that, then into more concrete advice. Just a little tip for you.
Thank you.
Big 5 publishers out there.
I'm sure they're happy for the advice.
When you're writing a book for or about people with ADHD, I do find it a little bit odd to start it with something that's not exactly what I was looking for when I picked it up.
Yeah.
Gotta hook me.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So now to just do a rundown of what we didn't talk about. I didn't talk about Your Knife, My Heart by Kim Moranova, which is the first in a duology. The second book, I think, is out next month. And I think it's called My Blade, Your Back.
Oh, okay.
So it's about this girl, probably, I think she's in her early 20s. She was born into a powerful family that has criminal connections. And so she was kind of raised and trained to be the family assassin. And she got caught, and her father basically sold her out, and she ended up in prison, sentenced for death. And some general shows up and basically takes her to this training center where she's going to be partnered with a guy who's notorious for killing his partners.
Okay.
And so it's a test for both of them. It's a test for, is she good enough to be part of this elite unit of assassins? And it's a test for him. Can you not kill one of your partners, please?
The ultimate test.
Yeah. And so it's a romance, and it does get explicit. So anybody who wants a closed door, this is not the one. And it also has violence on the page, violence against each other, violence against others. So, and it's complicated relationship stuff. In a very life or death situation.
Okay.
And then the sequel is going to finish it all up. The sequel's already in the catalog as well, so if you decide you want to read this, you can check out the first. Actually, I don't think we have it in stock yet, but it's on order, so you can hold the first and the second and just read them right away.
This kind of reminds me of, we have a mutual friend who went on a tear. This was years ago, of reading like cage fighter romances. Like
Yes.
there was like a couple series of that.
I also read them.
Oh, okay.
You just maybe did not know that. But yeah, I also.
I don't know if it was his
MMA romance by Lori Foster specifically.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there was like a thing going around the office of like, hunky
these
boys.
Little, right now it's
fighting.
It is like fairy smut.
Yeah.
And it is dark romance is also very popular. And then you get the entire opposite end of the spectrum, which is like super sweet and cozy.
Okay.
Those are kind of the three big vibes right now in romance anyway.
All right.
And then I also brought Dog Only Knows by Allison Friend, which is this really adorable book of dog portraits, painted dog portraits. And the dogs have really expressive faces and they're doing like people things and it's cute. And it would make, if you have somebody who's dog crazy, I think it would make a really funny and sweet gift. And it's the kind of thing that I think a lot of people would talk themselves out of buying for themselves.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, it's really cute, but I don't need it. So it could be a fun thing to give to someone so that they can just like set it out and occasionally flip through it and have a little smile.
If I could give a little advice, I think this would make an excellent book for when I like moved into my first apartment and I was like, I want to like have some kind of decoration. And I had a book of, it was a guy who took like food, like mostly vegetables and stuff, and like used black-eyed peas to make eyes and yeah, Juicer, Sooster, something. Anyway, and we had like an art book at the library that was being weeded, so I cut a bunch of pictures out of it and like put them up in the kitchen, you know, in like cheap frames and stuff. This would be an amazing house decor.
Yeah,
to have like if you move into a place and it's got stairs and normally you put your pictures of your kids going up the stairs. Why not just have a bunch of paintings of little doggos and coats?
Yeah. And, you might spend, $50 on a piece of art, or you can buy this book for $30
and have
a book
dozens.
Full of potential little pictures to hang on your walls.
Yeah. And you'd be amazed, like, a cheap frame, a little painting like that. Just put it up. It's like really brings a lot of life to the place.
And they really are very charming little paintings.
Yeah.
It'll very funny, very cute.
If you're like a young person too moving into your first place, it like really adults up the place in a nice way. In an enjoyable way.
Because it's legitimately art. So you have like art on your walls.
Yeah.
Like a grown-up, it's not like an AC/DC poster.
Yeah, and people will like it.
Yeah.
People will be interested in it. Yeah, instead of your John Wick 3 poster.
Right.
Just do this instead.
People will see it and go, oh, that's so cute. Where did you ever find that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. All right. I didn't talk about, okay, really quick. I wasn't even going to talk about it all. Sandman Mystery Theater by Matt Wagner. This was a big series like in the late 90s.
Is this the Neil Gaiman series?
No.
Oh, okay.
So the Neil Gaiman series came out, and that was about Sandman, who is like Dream, Morpheus, god of dreams, whatever, and a bunch of gods stuff and like, mythology kind of stuff and whatever. This is a different series. So there was an older character in DC called Sandman, who was basically like a detective-y guy who wore a gas mask and had a gun that had like sleepy gas in it.
Okay.
So he would run around and do detective stuff, and then when he had to, he could make someone fall asleep.
Okay.
And so he was aptly called the Sandman. So after the Neil Gaiman series got big, they decided like, well, maybe we should revive this other Sandman for confusing comic book reasons, And so they did a series called Sandman Mystery Theater, which is about this character.
Okay. It's
not for me. I didn't enjoy it, but it's got a lot of things that I think other people enjoy that I don't love usually. It takes place in the 1920s, which I think is a time period that people are interested in fiction, and I'm not. And it focuses on a little bit on the Sandman character, but more on like a youngish woman who's like in the whole flapper scene and all that stuff, which is a thing that I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't do much for me.
Okay.
But I understand a lot of other people like it. There's a murderer on the loose. It's kind of got that whole thing of like, ooh, the 20s weren't as, squeaky and clean and fun as
I thought they were squeaky clean. It was bathtub gin and mobsters.
Maybe I should say as like swinging and carefree and,
Gotcha.
good times had by all. Except for, the buttoned up the man who was a little too whatever. So it's a bit of a qualified recommendation.
Okay.
Because
not for you, maybe for someone else.
Yeah, and like the writer, I have liked other things he's done, but not this.
Okay.
The artist, I've also really liked other things he's done, not this.
Okay.
The art I didn't care for. But so if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into like a 1920s mystery with some intrigue, and if you liked those Vertigo comics from the late 90s, it's pretty good. It slots right in there. It makes sense. Just wasn't. It's like it pushed all the wrong buttons for me.
Okay.
Joke Farming by Elliot Kalin is a book about joke writing, and I really like it because it's a book that talks about writing as craft as opposed to talent, which is a thing I don't believe in, because I think if you tell someone about writing or they find out that you're a writer or something, you hear the same thing all the time, which is like, I could never do that. And I'm like, you could, you don't, and that's fine. But like, it's like anything else where I'm like, I mean, I probably can't dunk a basketball no matter how hard I tried. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. Or like at this stage in my life, I think the 110 high hurdles is not an Olympic event that I will be competing in. But like, I don't know. There are other things that I think it's like, well, it's easy for me to say I could never do it because I never do it, and it's like, I think if you devoted some time to it, you could. And if you don't want to, that's fine.
Right.
Anyway, it's a book that very much talks about not just writing, but joke writing and comedy writing as a craft, something you have to work on. But it actually gives you kind of a concrete process for coming up with jokes. And it also is very realistic as far as he was a head writer for The Daily Show, and he's done a lot of other writing stuff, especially for TV. But like The Daily Show is a big deal because they were on 4 nights a week and had to talk about the things that happened that day.
Right.
So they had to come up with a lot. Yeah. And he's like, you had to come up with a lot of things and a lot of jokes in a short time. And also, so he's like, you couldn't just be like, when the muse strikes, I write. You know, he's like, you had to show up that day and turn in some stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's a very realistic version of it. And I found it interesting. And I think a lot of people would find it interesting. If you're like a comedy nerd, like if there's a void in your life since Mark Maron's podcast ended, this is right up your alley.
Okay.
And the last is Fortune and Glory, the Musical by Brian Michael Bendis, which is his portion of the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark story. So if we remember many episodes ago, I talked about Song of Spider-Man by some guy who was kind of the head writer for the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark musical, which was like a very famous flop on Broadway. Very expensive.
I was going to say because it was so expensive, I think.
And it was a Julie Taymor joint, and she was and is a big
yeah. And
fixture.
U2 was involved.
U2 was involved doing the music. So at some point, I guess so Brian Michael Bendis is a very big comic book writer. He came up at Marvel mostly, and then has since done some DC stuff, but most famous for he did the series Ultimate Spider-Man, which then turned into Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is a character he created. That's probably his most well-known thing. So So at some point, they contracted him to work on the musical script as well, which was interesting because his wife is also a comics creator and is like a huge musical nerd.
Okay.
And he was talking about like, we go see musicals and he doesn't connect with them, and he's like, but I can appreciate things about them. And I go because my wife wants to go. And so when he got this opportunity, she was like, you're like the worst kind of person, right? Who's like, gets to do this thing that other people would kill to do. And you're not really qualified to do it because he knows nothing about musicals.
Yeah. Why didn't they hire his wife?
At the time she was not. She's now kind of a known comic book writer, but at the time she was not.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't have been. And also because at this time, his name was kind of synonymous with like a revival of Spider-Man, like interest in the character. So he was, comic book wise, he was the guy you would go to for Spider-Man. But as far as translating that to musical theater, it was kind of a thing. The book itself is okay. It's very much a memoir about his career in comics. And I found it personally too light on Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I feel like that's what's promised and not totally delivered. And so that was kind of disappointing for me because I wanted the dirt.
Yeah.
But there are a few things in it, some nuggets, that I've learned. Like the big one, I think, was I think when we talked about it before, I mean, you have the theory, and I agree with it, that part of the problem with Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, like with you too, is like when you have a non-musical theater musician doing the music for musical theater, it doesn't always work out great.
Yep.
And I think very similarly, they had a non-musical theater writer trying to work on, he does comic books and he's trying to work on musical theater, and that's a bit of a rough. So it seems like that was kind of a theme of the show. The other big thing, though, that was really interesting, because they had this writer, Brian Michael Bendis, and Julie Taymor had a lot of conflict over, was the origin of Spider-Man, because he had a thing in Ultimate Spider-Man where there was some talk about Aranya, the spider goddess, and giving him powers or something, which was like a nonsense thing that someone else was theorizing was how Spider-Man got his powers.
And she ran with it.
She loved it and wanted to do that instead of the whole radioactive spider Uncle Ben thing. And she didn't want to do Uncle Ben at all and like whatever. And he was like,
then you're working on the wrong project.
Yeah. And he was like, I think this is a bad idea, and was kind of pretty strident about saying, look, this is an origin story that's famous among origin stories. It's worked in many different decades and genres and whatever. And like Spider-Man's origin story is a pretty critical part of who the character is. I don't know if we should mess with it. I don't know if we gain something doing it this other weird way. And she was not happy about that. And that kind of soured the relationship and eventually ended it. There is an amusing coda, though, where he does go see the show. And because when he was working on it, it was an initial sort of attempt to make it that completely train wrecked. And so it came out many years later, and went to it. And he's just like, what the hell was that?
Like most people who saw it, I believe.
Yeah, there was a kind of a joke in it, too, of like, well, at least nobody got hurt. And it was like,
Right. Because famously, people got hurt.
Many performers got badly hurt.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting. I actually think I would have enjoyed it more had I known it was just kind of more of a memoir of his career in comics as opposed to being very focused on Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Yeah.
There's also probably an element of, in order for one to understand why they asked him to do it. Like, I get it because I was reading those comics excitedly at the time. But, for a complete outsider to comics, this would be necessary story to be like, why did they ask this weird little bald guy to write the musical who lives in Portland, Oregon instead of New York City, and
So you're still looking for your perfect story of the making of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to get like not just all the dirt, but maybe a little bit more concise and a little bit more like I still want to know. They have all these villains. Spider-Man, amazing rogues gallery. I think the best. People argue Batman. I say Spider-Man. Of all the people you could have, why Swarm? The sentient swarm of Nazi bees? That makes no sense. Like, that's such a wild pull.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, you've got your Green Goblin. He's in it, of course. You've got like a Venom. I think he's in it. You got Mysterio. Perfect for Broadway. I'm like, and Swarm. Weird choice.
Yeah.
Weird out there choice. But, you know.
There you go.
Whatever. Yeah. Guess you got to take a swing.
Yeah.
I want to know who suggested that.
Yeah, because somebody who knew. I mean, you don't just pull that out of nowhere.
My pet theory is that it was like someone in production design, and they were like, here's a bunch of visuals of different villains. And they were like, ooh, this is, I could work with this. I can make something interesting out of this. Not knowing.
Yeah.
Oh, they just never should have showed the picture of that guy. They should have been like, this is not, it's like having Stiltman be in there. As we all know, the guy whose power is he has extending adamantium stilts. So he can extend them really far and take one step and cross the entire city at once.
Sure.
It's an amazing power.
Sure.
Yeah. Totally reasonable thing. All right. That's it.
Okay.
We did it.
We did it.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
And have a wonderful holiday season.
Yeah, this is the last time we'll hear from.
Yeah, and a happy new year.
Yeah. Yeah, until 2026.
Yeah.
When we'll come back. All new. It's going to be totally different.
Okay.
Everything you don't like will be changed, and everything you do like will be perfectly preserved.
Don't make promises we can't keep.
All right.